I've always been kind of a athletic, active kind of person. In between the days of running a couple miles, I would bike 4 to 6 miles or go rollerblading anywhere between three to 6 miles. At one point, I kind of had a drop off on energy and ability to do that, and after a couple years of it gradually getting worse, then I realized that there is an issue, that there's a problem. Till one day I went into the doctor's office and he listened to me and said, I hear a little something with your heart. My mitral valve had a leak in it, which is something common. Somewhere around like 15 to 20% of people have a leak in their mitral valve. My normal resting heart rate is around 50, and I would go up a set of stairs after only walking, a couple rooms down, and my heart rate would go up to 180 beats per minute. Most people have theirs taken care of more into their 50s or 60s because it just gradually gets worse. Mine, however, was already at a past a moderate leak and needed to be done sooner. So I was scheduled for a valve repair, and he has a 99.9% success rate with that. In my case, the valve repair didn't work, but they didn't realize that until after I was, almost being discharged a week after the surgery had happened, and they realized that I wasn't actually getting better like they thought, because in the words of my surgeon, my heart was working like a turbocharger and ripping the valve back open. And it was actually worse than what it had been. The second surgery went well. They had to put in a mechanical valve. But at that point I was so weak. The pneumonia kept increasing. My health kept decreasing until the point where my lungs no longer were elastic, and they were more like a brick because the pneumonia had set in nearly 100% of my lungs, and they had to do an induced coma to put me on a lung machine so I could breathe. And even with that, there wasn't enough oxygen getting into the body, and at one point the organs started shutting down as well. Almost 4 weeks in ICU, with 3 of those weeks being in a coma. I completely lost all the holidays time in December that year. I have no memories of it. My kids only had memories of, Dad being in the hospital. We didn't really have much of a Christmas that year. It wasn't just physically stressful for my body, but it was very emotionally stressful for the whole family. I was having difficulty breathing. I wasn't responding well. And the nurse actually told my wife that she should prepare herself that I wasn't going to make it through the night. The boys only knew that Daddy's heart was broken, and he was in the hospital and had to have his heart fixed. At one point, my wife was in the kitchen at the house, and my 6-year-old, he was 6 at that time, he walks into the kitchen, and Anna, just over all the stress, was crying. And he walks in and he goes, "Mommy, what happened? Did Daddy die?" And even still, a year and a half later, they're still coming up and saying things like, "Daddy, I don't want you to die." And that's not the kind of thing that a 5 and a 7-year-old need to be thinking about. Woke up from the coma as pretty much a quadriplegic. I couldn't move a finger. I couldn't even move my head enough to hit a soft call button to have a nurse come in. A lot of humility afterwards, because I had to learn to walk again. I had to learn to eat again. I had to learn to rely a lot on my wife to take care of things. Even a year later, I would still have to hand like a brand new jelly jar to my wife to have her open it, because I didn't have enough hand strength to be able to open a jar. Take things a little bit more relaxed and be more intentional about the use of my time, particularly with my kids. We do reading time every night. We do lots of trips to the park. And so, there's still some of that residual time of where I can't do quite everything I used to be able to do. And the boys are particularly about, well, Daddy, time to do your exercise. My heart is fully functional. All my organs, kidneys, everything is really strong. Normally people don't have to deal with that until their 50s. At this point, I'll not have to deal with it in theory ever again. And it's just a matter of, getting all of my strength back to where I can become a runner again, which I'm hoping to be at that point sometime early next year.